It was in the spring, I was running, I tried to cross over, and it felt like I just got kicked in the back of the leg and I just collapsed.
I didn't really know right away, but I knew that I was not okay.
The question of whether I'd ever play football again was definitely there.
Literally a week before I was shut out of swimming, I sat down with my coach and I was like, here are my goals for the season. I'm going to do this and this differently, and I'm going to go this fast, and this is what's going to happen. And swimming meant everything to me.
I thought about quitting, to be honest with you. I thought about hanging the cleats up for the first time ever in my entire life. It was definitely one of the hardest and most difficult moments of my life, and in the recovery process, I hit some rock bottoms, and without my support system, I wouldn't have made it.
When you go away from home, you put your future into somebody's hands. You're trusting your future into somebody's hands. Well, your physical well-being is a big part of that trust factor.
Transitioning from high school to college athletics gets a lot more serious.
You're going to be pushing your body like you've never done before. I would say that exact same message academically at Davidson College. And the mind-body connection. You are going to be stressing your brain and your body out academically, and that could leave you more susceptible to colds and flus and more susceptible to injuries.
Came into college thinking that I was going to play field hockey and work really hard in school, and having a really difficult injury was never in the equation that I had thought of.
Up until that point, everything in college had been going pretty well. I was adjusting to classes nicely, I was doing really well in the water. I was keeping up with one of the faster swimmers, which felt really good. And so when they came in and told me the news, they basically said, you have these huge cysts, you need surgery right now, you're not going to be able to swim for at least a couple of months, and it's also possible that you might not be able to have kids later in life. So all this news came at once, and it was a lot to take in, and I was originally very overwhelmed.
They said 6-month recovery, you just need to do rehab, it'll be fine, you'll be able to 100% after 6 months. And I was like, okay, well, something needs to happen, surgery needs to happen, but I'll be better in 6 months, and I still have 2 years left of my college career.
I've never been to the hospital for anything. I was really nervous because I didn't know what to expect. Being from Ohio, my entire family and support system was 7 hours away, and so that was a really hard thing for me to grasp, that I was in this emergency room in what felt like I was alone.
Not living at home anymore, and all of a sudden injury can be probably the most significant battle that they've ever fought, and all of a sudden this is the first battle they've had to fight alone.
I woke up and the doctor kind of sat down, and you know when they take that deep breath and that pause, you know it can't be good news. And told me what really had been going on. The reason nothing showed up on the MRI is because I didn't really have a labrum. It had been shredded, and my cartilage was pretty much gone. So there was no way I'd be able to play my senior year. So the second that door closed and the doctor walked out, I was the only one that knew what had just happened. And I didn't even know exactly what had just happened because it was so foreign to hear the fact that I was done.
We come out of the doctor's office and we're sitting in the car. My dad's like rubbing my back. He's like, hey, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. And I lost it. I started breaking down crying, and I was like, I don't want this to be over.
I knew every day that I could go to the pool no matter how I felt, no matter how frustrated I was with school, and I'd be able to swim well. And for that to be ripped away from me at first was kind of shocking and very upsetting, and it was something that I've known ever since I was 6 years old, so I was a mess.
When you do play D1, as you know, you've given your whole life to this. It's not just the time you spend in college, it's the time you spend in high school, it's the time you spend in club sports, it's all of that. And when it's kind of ripped away from you, like it's hard.
You know, you think you're just on the team, and you have a right to be on the team. It's not a right, it's a privilege. And it got taken away from me when I got hurt. I didn't know what was going to happen. body, and it's going to tell you whether or not it wants to recover in the right way. So I was not in a good place.
Come back to school, I was a little bit depressed. A little bit is probably an understatement. I was miserable, but my friends kind of refused to let me fall too deep into that pit.
Whenever you're going through something tough in life, having a support system is the most important thing. And so here at Davidson, having those athletes, those coaches and teammates and training staff, just being such a support system for me, helped me get through it better than anything else.
Whether it's an injury or a trauma, losing somebody, a grief experience, any kind of significant challenge that we face across the board, number one predictor of success and overcoming that adversity is social support.
When I was in the emergency room, not even yet checked into the hospital, a nurse came in and she said there are 30 plus athletes in the emergency room wearing warm-up jackets, and they say that they want to come see you. Am I allowed to let this army come through the emergency room to come into your room? Will that overwhelm you? And I was like, no, of course not.
I think the family that we created on this team really made a difference, and everyone always asked me how I was doing. Whenever I would be able to hold my arm out for longer than 30 seconds or just do another thing in rehab, everyone was there supporting me, and I couldn't have done it without them.
What I love about Davidson is that you're more than just a number to your coaches and your other teammates. You're very much a person, and they never really let me forget that.
I was really lucky with my coach. I sat down with him when they were first talking about the exploratory surgery, and I was really scared, and I was crying, of course, and he started crying too, which broke my heart. But he told me, I want you to be able to hold your kids when you're older. And he was like, I'm going to support you no matter what. Your teammates are going to support you no matter what. And that really changed my outlook on things. He said, you need to focus on getting better. You need to focus on your shoulder. Don't worry about swimming. Swimming is not your life. You have so many things after swimming. And he was looking long term. There are so many better things than swimming, and even though we're going to miss you as a swimmer, you're still going to be a part of this team, and everyone is still going to love having you around.
An athlete has to have a sense that the coach, the training room, and his teammates care about him more than just his physical presence. They have to care about him to ensure that he's going to get healthy, but also have to have a respect for the emotional challenge he's going through, and also the presence of his spirit as a member of that team.
I really grew up in an environment in high school where injury was frowned upon, which it's obviously not your fault, but if it happens, you're more so encouraged to try and push through it and ignore it and still compete and still practice.
When you have these injuries, there's all these thoughts going around your head, what's going to happen? How bad is this injury? Am I really injured, or am I just being a wuss?
But obviously, I was recovering from a very invasive surgery. I had an incision that was across my belly. I couldn't even sit up straight for the first week. So it was really helpful to have my coach's positive attitude and encouragement that it's okay that you need to recover right now. You're not in the water and you're not doing practice, but that's all right.
He must always feel that, hey, we miss you. We want you with us. We feel your spirit with us. We know you can't practice. We know you can't play, but you're a very valuable member of our team.
That encouragement through my injury was the biggest thing for me. People who encourage me in explicit ways and implicit ways, just even being a part of a program and still being allowed to be on it is a form of encouragement.
My coach called me into her office. She just sat down and talked with me and was like, we want you to stay on, and I don't want you to be a manager. We can get the freshmen to do that stuff. We would like you to be student coach.
They didn't try and tell me that it was going to be all right. They just said, you're still one of us, you're still one of the guys, don't let this affect you.
She kind of refused to let me just walk away.
Injury or non-injury, you're on this team. Playing or not playing, you're on this team.
Davidson is unique in that we're such a small community, I think that really lends to the amount of help that's able to be given.
You're in the same classes, we're in the same training room, weight room, and I think that helps you develop a bond as well. You understand what pains you're going through mentally and physically. You help each other push to the last wall. You help each other lift more weight. And I think that allows for Davidson to have an even closer athletic community than other schools. When we think of Davidson athletics, we think of Davidson athletics as a whole, all 450 so athletes.
Especially right after I got back, whether it was lacrosse, soccer, basketball, you name it, there were people from all different teams texting, checking in on me.
Even students that aren't here, like alumni, even ones that weren't from the field hockey team, reached out to me, reminding me that no one's ever injured. You're only injured in that moment, and then you're just healing.
Whether it be on the field, in the classroom, in their spiritual life, socially, you name it, people are always looking out for one another. And that's just something that I've always loved about this place.
There was a guy named Jalen who's on the football team, and he had shoulder surgery the exact same time, but his was different, and so we would always compete against each other to see who could get to a certain exercise first in rehab in a healthy way, but in a competitive way as well. And I think that what kind of made it fun, because it can get very monotonous just sitting there doing the same workout, even if it's just like squeezing putty in your hand, building up those muscles.
Like that saying, iron sharpens iron. I wholeheartedly believe nobody's going to get very far in life if they do things by themselves.
There's no shame in asking for help. Like once you realize that the people around you are there to help you overcome whatever it is that you're going through, you start to not feel that same need for independence and isolation from these people.
As athletes, we constantly have to fight the fear of failure.
My range of motion stuff didn't go as smoothly as it was supposed to. And I kind of felt like I was letting people down, because even my trainer's like, come on, like one more degree. I'm like, okay, I just couldn't do it. But they never make you feel like that. It's kind of something that I very much put on myself. And I think athletes do tend to do that because we're so type A people. We're such a type A group of people, especially at Davidson, that you put a lot more pressure on yourself than others put on you.
I kept swimming for a week and then I had to take off a week because of pain, and then I swim for a week and then take off a week. And I think I never lost hope, but there was a part of me that realized that my swimming career would never be what it used to be.
When you fail, when you're told that you failed, it's okay to listen, but you got to keep moving forward. You know, my body might have failed me for several months, but that didn't mean that I couldn't do other things. I still had time. I still had people that cared about me. And just because I couldn't contribute as a player didn't mean that I couldn't strive to contribute in other ways.
I put my energy in meets to cheering for my teammates and jumping up and down on the pool deck and losing my voice at conference because I was cheering so loud. And at times it would hit me where I would wish that I was the one in the water, but I realized that my time as a swimmer was over, and all I could do was support my teammates as they had supported me.
The greatest barriers that athletes face when they're dealing with an injury is maintaining, nurturing their identity on so many different levels.
Through this whole process, I was able to figure out who I was outside of Becky Johnson, field hockey player. I was so much more than that, and I was forced to discover it when I no longer could embody that title.
My entire life growing up, ever since I was 6 years old, I swam, and that's who I was. I was a swimmer. My friends were swimmers. That's what I did. It was who I am, or who I was. But I think my shoulder injury was kind of a wake-up call that there's so much more to offer in life.
My sister played field hockey at William & Mary, and I remember the first thing she told me when she was trying to give me advice as to what it was like to go to school and play sport. She told me, don't let the fact that you play field hockey be the first thing that people find out about you. And I didn't really quite understand what that meant. I was like, yeah, but I gotta wear my gear everywhere. I've gotta wear my penny. People have to know, like, I've got this name on my shirt. I've gotta rep it the best that I can. You know, everyone needs to know. And then the second that identity was pulled away from me, I started to understand a lot more of what she meant by that. And it wasn't so much an external thing. It wasn't so much as how you present yourself, but how you define yourself.
My name is Jessica Miller, and I am a student at Davidson College. I'm hopefully going to be a medical student eventually. But what I am in life is not just a swimmer.
As people, we are just so much more than what we do. You're much more defined by those around you, by both the support you get, but more importantly, the support you can give. And I feel I'm so much more able to be there for people after having so many people be there for me.
This surgery was terrifying, but at the same time it wasn't, because I had my teammates.
They told me so many times, you can stop swimming if you want, you don't have to keep going, you can still be a part of the team, and I said no. My teammates have supported me so much through this, and I can't imagine not being on a team with them. They are incredible, and I don't think I've thanked them enough for that.
After having so many injuries over 4 years, I think that the one thing that I can really take from all of it is that at some point it gets better. There were definitely times, especially after surgery, where I thought I'm never going to be able to lift my arms the way I ever did. I'm never going to be able to lift, play football the way that I once did. But because of the people that I had around me, one thing that they always push is that it's going to get better.
Injuries are always out of our control. Sickness, illness, sometimes it just happens, and you got to kind of deal with the hand you're dealt, unfortunately. But I don't think anybody should ever think that there's not anybody there for them and that they're battling this alone.
Coach McKillop always said, help someone to help yourself. And I think that goes beyond just the basketball floor and just beyond Davidson as well.
I believe there are so many different fellows who went through such trauma through their experience here, and as a result of that, they embraced the support system and then demonstrated the support system.
I think we're just built up by the challenges that we face and overcome. And so looking back on my experience, I wouldn't trade anything for the world, because it really made me who I am. And very few things in life will be as difficult as battling back from injuries.
If I had known my freshman year that this would have happened, I would say I would have not changed a thing. Because it just means so much to me. The sport means so much to me, and it really shaped who I am. And I was kind of reminded yet again of that, just about the overwhelming love and support you do get from a team at Davidson when I got to play on Saturday.